Coming up tonight on the News at 5. After a historic day of riots in the nation's capital, what happens now? We'll break down the big questions people throughout the country are asking and what it means for security at Montana's capital. Plus,
I promised we would provide tax relief to hardworking Montanans and get Montana open for business.
Montana got a first look at Governor Greg Gianforte's budget proposal this morning. We'll detail his priorities.
From Montana's news leader, this is MTN News at 5.
Good afternoon and welcome to the News at 5. I'm Marian Davidson. Thanks for joining us. Well, one big question you may have is what happens now after demonstrators stormed the Capitol yesterday? What will change with the inauguration? What is the 25th Amendment and could it be invoked against President Donald Trump? Not to mention, could this tragedy somehow lead to new unity in our country and bipartisan economic relief? Our Joe St. George tackles those big questions from Washington.
The country is still reeling from what we all saw at the U.S. Capitol Wednesday. Insurrection, rioting. If you're wondering what happens next, well, you aren't alone. One big question, what about the upcoming inauguration? Around the Capitol near the inaugural platform, a new large fence is being constructed the day after the Capitol was under siege. Assigned security for the inauguration is being reconfigured. National Guardsmen literally sitting on buses waiting for orders. For Kevin, in town from New Jersey, he's thinking what many are wondering. Why wasn't this up before?
I think it's pretty incredible the fences are going up now. I think that's what we talked about last night, that I think they knew this was going to happen.
Another question is what happens next with President Trump? He only has a few days left in office, but Facebook has blocked his account. A number of top staffers have resigned, and there are now reports the 25th Amendment could be potentially invoked. That process requires a majority of Trump's cabinet, as well as the vice president, to tell Congress he's unfit for office, taking away his powers. Presidential scholar Dr. John White of Catholic University explains why this process exists.
And the reason the 25th Amendment came about was that after the Kennedy assassination, there had been real concerns about what if President Kennedy had lived for a time.
And finally, could a spirit of unity potentially sweep Congress, resulting in new laws impacting your family? The answer really depends who you ask.
I think there's a lot of anger. I mean, people react in certain ways. People are pushed to the edge now, so.
Kevin, who did not participate in the riots at the Capitol but is a Trump supporter, says this country is bitterly divided. Professor White, though, thinks Republicans may want to join Democrats in the coming months to pass bipartisan ideas like stimulus checks and economic aid.
I think that there is an opportunity. The lawmakers themselves who had to take cover realized that this was an inflection point.
The next few hours, the next few days, no doubt will be critical in determining what's next for our country. In Washington, I'm Joe St. George.
Well, Governor Greg Gianforte says he was shocked by what happened yesterday at the Capitol, where he represented Montana until last week as the state's lone U.S. House member. He addressed the events during a news conference in Helena today and said seeing the images from the Capitol was jarring. He said he was exchanging text messages with former House colleagues. Some of them were on the floor at the time. Gianforte described the protesters who broke into the Capitol as, quote, a violent mob and said, quote, democracy was under siege. He said those types of actions have no place in a civil society.
I was pleased that the president said, go home. There probably could have been a stronger statement made there. I'm glad it's over. And I look forward to a peaceful transfer of power on the 20th this month.
Gianforte said he was pleased demonstrations in Montana yesterday remained peaceful and said he feels safe in the state capitol. And new tonight at 5, after what happened at the U.S. Capitol, Montana leaders say they are closely monitoring the national situation. But right now, they do not plan to make any major changes to security procedures at the state capitol. MTN's Jonathan Ambarian reports.
The Montana General Services Division oversees security on the state capitol campus. The division administrator says they expected protests in Washington, D.C. and in Helena on Wednesday, and they were already set up in an emergency operations center.
We had it ramped up and we were in here long before anything even started in D.C.
Steve Baiamonte says they already had additional security resources in place at the Capitol because the legislature is in session. While he didn't want to release specific information about procedures, he said they have made plans for a wide variety of possible security issues, and Wednesday's events didn't force them to make significant adjustments.
It's really more of maybe like making a different call in the middle of the game as opposed to developing a whole new play.
About 100 people attended a demonstration in support of President Trump in front of the Montana State Capitol Wednesday. Leaders didn't report any incidents involving that protest. Baiamonte says their objective is to maintain security while having as little impact as possible on people at the Capitol.
We truly respect the fact that it's the people's house, that you have a right to come here to testify, and you have a right to come here to protest, and you have a right to come here just to walk around and look at your Capitol. And our goal is to make sure that everybody can do that and respect each other's rights to do the same.
Baiamonte says they'll continue to monitor the situation across the country closely in the coming days and weeks. He says they've heard of 15 to 20 state capitals that had security incidents on Wednesday. In Helena, Jonathan Amberian, MTN News.
Make sure to stay with us tonight because our coverage continues on the news at 6. MTN spoke to Republican Representative Matt Rosendale about his decision to continue to oppose the certification of votes even after the violent protests yesterday. All right, I gotta say, it was so nice to see snow this morning, Curtis. That was your doing, right?
Yes, it was. I would do a little bit more if it actually was me, though. I think we all know that. But hey, Lewistown, watch out. Could be a little slick out there with temperatures just below the freezing point. Lewistown Divide road surface looks a little wet, and as that sun continues to go down, things will get a little icy, slippery for sure up over McDonald Pass and looking at the Boulder Pass. Actually not so bad there. Elk Park looking a little slick. Hey there, slick. Watch out tonight. It will be a slippery night here with the temperatures dropping down into the 20s, some freezing fog potentially, and of course a little of that lingering snow. We are in the dead of winter. Yeah, winter is certainly not alive and well like we typically see here at this time of year. And hello, January, are you out there? More mild weather through the weekend into next week. Let you know if we have anything seasonable headed our way. It's coming up in the forecast.
Well, turning to Montana's COVID-19 situation, 2 additional deaths were reported today by the state, one in Custer and one in Phillips County. The statewide death total is 1,042. Active cases continue to fall and are currently below 5,000 for the 3rd consecutive day. Now, active hospitalizations are hovering right around 200. As a reminder, MTN numbers do vary from the state report because we track data from local county health departments, which can release numbers that may differ from the state's data. Well, work on a project expected to be a big money saver for Great Falls is underway at the city's water treatment plant. The filters at the plant are being upgraded. This will allow the drainage system underneath to be replaced, saving the city millions of gallons of water a year used to clean the filters. The current filters are several years past their expected lifespan and have not been performing as effectively as they should prior to being replaced. And drivers in the Great Falls area can look forward to fewer delays for at least a little bit. The Montana Department of Transportation completed the first phase of construction on U.S. Highway 87. Construction crews began working on the project between Dent Bridge Road to just north of Great Bear Avenue this fall. They replaced foundation soil in preparation for more construction this spring when they plan to add passing lanes and turning lanes. Now, this is part of an effort to improve traffic flow on the highway and make the roads safer for drivers.
There were some significant delays from time to time while we were working. From now through the winter shutdown period, we're really not going to have a whole lot of delays, if any, and that'll hold through late winter, early spring when we get started again.
Spring construction is expected to last through November of this year. And when we come back, Chief Meteorologist Curtis Grevenitz will have a complete check of your forecast in Storm Tracker weather. And later, MTN's Chief Political Reporter Mike Dennison will break down Governor Gianforte's proposed state budget.
Storm Tracker weather starts now with Chief Meteorologist Curtis Grevenitz.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Oh, so that's what snow looks like. Maybe some of you were thinking today. Rogers Pass, we've got some snow. Slow it down there. Could be a little slick. How about Townsend, Montana? We've got some wet roads and, yeah, a little snow, maybe mixed with a little rain at times. Bozeman Pass, that's not looking too bad, but again, roads kind of on the wet side. Temperatures everywhere dropping below the freezing point here tonight. And around Geyser, maybe some wet snowflakes mixed in with a few raindrops. Like Great Falls, started out with a little rain, went over to some snow here, had a little light accumulation, 36 degrees out there right now. And Helena, yeah, a few flakes continue to fall. However, got a lot of low-level moisture here, so expect to see some fog around the state and around the Helena area here tonight into tomorrow. Cut Bank, kind of a nice day up there around East Glacier, Shelby, and Cut Bank with temperatures up into the 40s for highs, but you can see the numbers very close to the freezing point, if not at the freezing point right now, and we're going to dip down below that magic number of 32 here tonight. The wind, that's really nice when we don't have a lot of wind. Still a winter weather advisory for another couple, 3 hours here, Fergus County, Judith Basin County, the higher elevations really for Kings Hill Pass, but Monarch, Nyhart under a winter weather advisory, as is the Bozeman area for Bozeman Pass. But there you can see that precipitation. Green is rain, white is snow. We've had still a little snow lingering around the Helena area here, out over the big belts towards the little belts up on the Continental Divide, picking up some snow. There's a little mix of that rain and snow near Geyser, some snow again heading down Highway 89 up into the Little Belt Mountains. Southeast Montana, a little mix of some rain and snow here. So a little sloppy weather, certainly not a major storm system, and this low pressure will continue to kind of work its way out of the area heading through the next day or so. It's going to take its time. Look at the snow all the way as far south as parts of northern Alabama, Mississippi, and Georgia, even Arkansas, as much as about 8-9 inches of snow into Arkansas. They have more snow than we did here in Montana. So here's what will happen over the next few hours. Still a little snow around Lewistown throughout the rest of this evening, down through Judith Gap, maybe even around Helena, a few more flakes of snow. But for the most part, that precipitation winding down by about midnight tonight. Tomorrow morning, if anybody's traveling Interstate 90 or Highway 212 out through the southeastern part of the state, there will be some snow in the direction of Alzada and Ekalaka and Baker. But look for increasing sunshine here for at least central and western Montana through the morning hours. Pretty nice Friday here. Little snow pushing in from Idaho late in the day. However, that snow should stay in the western part of the state here. Careful heading up over Monida Pass if anybody's traveling that way Friday night into Saturday. Lookout Pass looking a little slick as well at times later Friday. And then Saturday, may have a little low cloud cover to start out, but not that bad of a day. A lot of us will see some sunshine. Still a little additional accumulation here into the southeastern part of the state, but for the most part, we're through with the accumulation in central Montana. Here's the forecast for tonight. Teens and 20s precipitation coming to an end. However, a lot of low-level moisture, fog, freezing fog. Roads will be slick tonight into tomorrow morning. And for tomorrow, getting above the freezing point, a good amount of sunshine, Bab 41 and sunny. Out the high line here, upper 30s to lower 40s. A little more cloud cover the farther east you go in the state. Lewistown looking pretty nice after some morning cloud cover and fog. And same goes for the Helena area. Be careful, it will be slick out there tomorrow. Here's the 7-day forecast for Helena. And you can see those temperatures staying above average, above the freezing point for the most part, getting up into the low 50s. On Tuesday and Wednesday, more rain likely on Wednesday. A lot of wind as well in Fort Great Falls. Nothing looking like January anytime soon. I think some of the cold and the snow will be coming towards the end of the month.
All right, thanks for that, Curtis. Well, today, Governor Greg Gianforte released his first proposed 2-year budget for the state. It includes some tax cuts and new programs as promised by the Republican governor during his campaign. It also proposes some spending reductions. MTN's Mike Dennison has the details.
At a Capitol News conference, Governor Gianforte got right to the point on what he considers the most important elements of his budget.
I promised we would provide tax relief to hardworking Montanans and get Montana open for business. This budget does that.
So what type of tax cuts? He wants to reduce the top state income tax rate paid by about half of Montana taxpayers from 6.9% to 6.75%. He He's also proposing to exempt more business equipment from property taxes and help lower-income homeowners escape property tax increases caused by reappraisal. As for new spending, Gianforte wants to help school districts increase beginning teacher pay and increase money for trades education. But his biggest spending ask is for attacking the effects of drug addiction in Montana.
Few Montanans have been left untouched by the epidemic of addiction and drug use. The crisis is ripping apart our families and our communities. Our budget commits an additional $23.5 million in state and federal dollars per year.
That spending includes money for drug treatment courts, more parole and probation officers to supervise criminal offenders outside of prison, and more treatment in the correctional system. But where's the money coming from to finance these tax cuts and new spending? Gianforte says he's cutting about $100 million out of the budget initially proposed by his predecessor, Democrat Steve Bullock. The legislature must now review and decide on his budget. House Appropriations Committee Chair Lou Jones told MTN News he expects lawmakers to have many of their own ideas, but that Republicans also want to honor Gianforte's pledge.
Some technical difficulties, but committee hearings on the state budget start as early as Friday and will continue for the next several weeks. And for more coverage of Montana politics and the Montana legislature, join us Sunday morning at 8 for Face the State, the 67th session. Every week, we will look at what is ahead at the Capitol and talk with lawmakers about the latest in the House and the Senate. That's again Sunday morning at 8 right here on KTVH, or watch with the KTVH streaming app for your favorite device. To learn how to get your free app, just go to ktvh.com/streaming. And coming up next on the News at 5, an area nonprofit puts a wintry spin on a popular fundraising model.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching MTN News at 5.
Welcome back to the News at 5. Thanks so much for spending some time with us this evening. Well, an area nonprofit is taking the concept behind a popular fundraising event to the great outdoors. MTN's Tim McGonigal explains how Big Brothers Big Sisters is getting ready to hit the slopes.
During this time with social distancing, we can all be outside on a blue sky day skiing and raising money for a great cause.
Big Brothers Big Sisters of Helena and Great Falls is hoping the success of Bowl for Kids' Sake can carry over to the ski hill.
It's a peer-to-peer fundraiser, so you go out and you ask your neighbors, your friends, your coworkers, your family to help sponsor and donate to the cause. If you're not comfortable with that, you can just do a flat donation. We're looking for a minimum of $100 per person to participate in the event.
Ski for Kids' Sake takes place during the month of February at Great Divide, Showdown, and Teton Pass ski areas. Skiers can track their stats and take part in some challenges for great prizes.
One of the challenges we're working on is a vertical challenge. Who can log the most vertical in one day. We're also looking at who skis the most miles, who skis the most days, of course, who raises the most money. And then we also have a costume challenge, who has the best looks out on the slope.
You ski on your own time. You have 28 days to ski in February. You can get out as much as you want. You can go with your family. You can go alone, whatever your comfort level is.
Mayhew says despite the pandemic, Big Brothers Big Sisters is doing well, but the agency can always use more bigs to give at least an hour of their time a week. In Great Falls, Tim McGonigal, MTN News.
You can find a link to register on our website, ktvh.com. And Bowl for Kids' Sake will still take place as scheduled, January 29th and 30th in Helena, and March 6th and 7th in Great Falls. And up next, the Puppy Bowl is still on, thank goodness. We'll have the details next, but first, here is a look at what is coming up on NBC Nightly News.
When we welcome our West Coast viewers, the growing calls for the removal of President Trump from office after the assault on the Capitol. We'll look at the options on the table. Also, why the attack should have come as no surprise. The planning that took place in plain sight when we see you for NBC Nightly News.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching MTN News at 5.
Welcome back to the News at 5. We have some happy, fluffy, awesome news for you. The popular Puppy Bowl is going on as scheduled. Discovery says the Puppy Bowl 17 will still premiere on Discovery Plus and Animal Planet on February 7th. Team Ruff and Team Fluff will face off in the adorable 3-hour event with a kitty halftime show. 70 puppies from 22 different shelters will participate in the game, and possibly the best news of all of this, all of them are up for adoption, and Discovery says past games have had 100% adoption rates. So let's keep that up and find these puppies a home. Now, ESPN's Monday Night Football play-by-play announcers Steve Levy and Sports Center host Sage Steele will provide commentary and analysis. Thanks for making us a part of your evening. NBC's Nightly News is next.